Welcome to World Bulletin. I'm Anderson Cooper, and tonight we're breaking down a story that's shaking the global order, the Singapore Powers Deal. Signed just weeks ago, this massive energy pact between China and Singapore is about far more than electricity. It's about power, influence, and the future of alliances. For years, Singapore thrived but remained vulnerable, relying almost entirely on imported energy. China, meanwhile, has been expanding its global reach through the Belt and Road Initiative, seeking new ways to project influence. Now, these ambitions converge. China will build and manage advanced nuclear microreactors offshore and connect Singapore to its vast renewable grid. For Singapore, it's unprecedented energy security. For China, it's a strategic foothold in Southeast Asia. The timing is crucial. Amid US-China tensions and a volatile energy market, this deal signals a new direction. It's a bold move, redefining partnerships and the rules of the game. The world is watching as Singapore and China chart their own course. What does this mean for global power dynamics? We'll break it down. Stay with us for the full story. Let's dive in. What's actually in this deal? The Sino-Singaporean Comprehensive Energy Partnership is a 30-year pact. China will finance and build 3 offshore small modular reactor clusters, compact advanced nuclear units, managed jointly in Singapore's waters. This $50 billion project is one of Southeast Asia's largest ever. The deal also creates the ASEAN-China Clean Energy Corridor, a high-voltage grid linking Singapore to China's solar and wind farms. Singapore gains a stable, diversified energy supply, nuclear baseload plus renewables, reducing its dependence on volatile gas markets. For China, it's a chance to export surplus green energy, showcase its technology, and physically link its economy to ASEAN. This is Singapore's bid for energy independence, trading some Western ties for a deeper partnership with China. Beijing, in turn, becomes the guarantor of Singapore's energy security, gaining leverage in a region long dominated by the US. The deal is a masterstroke of economic and strategic statecraft. It's a new model for how technology and infrastructure can shift global influence. The stakes are enormous. This isn't just a headline for policymakers, it could hit your wallet. Singapore's shift to nuclear and direct grid power means its demand for liquefied natural gas will plunge, shaking global LNG markets. Major exporters like Qatar, Australia, and the US now face a new reality as Asian demand drops. If other nations follow Singapore's lead, LNG prices could fall, benefiting some consumers but hurting exporters. The deal also cements China's dominance in green tech, with joint R&D in Singapore on batteries, smart grids, and hydrogen. Western companies now face stiffer competition as China accelerates innovation. For consumers, this could mean cheaper energy and tech, but also greater dependence on Chinese supply chains. The world's energy flows, prices, and technology are being reshaped. Economic security and supply chain risks are rising. The ripple effects are just beginning. The Singapore Powers Deal sent shockwaves through world capitals. In Washington, concern is high. Officials worry about Chinese-built infrastructure in a key partner and a blow to US influence. The EU is torn wary of China's growing power, but eyeing potential energy price relief if LNG surpluses grow. Russia welcomes the deal, seeing it as another crack in Western dominance. Middle Eastern oil giants see a warning. The world is moving faster toward non-fossil energy. Japan and South Korea, major US allies and energy importers, are silent, caught between security ties and the appeal of Singapore's new model. Across Asia, the deal forces a rethink of energy and alliance strategies. The global order is shifting, and no one can afford to ignore it. The silence from some capitals speaks volumes. The strategic dilemma is real. The world is recalibrating. In Southeast Asia, the deal is a catalyst, forcing countries to reconsider their stance between the US and China. Neighbors like Malaysia and Indonesia are wary of offshore nuclear reactors and deeper Chinese influence. Calls for ASEAN-wide talks on energy security are growing. Meanwhile, Cambodia and Laos see Singapore's move as validation of their own China ties. ASEAN unity is fracturing. Some see opportunity, others see a threat. The deal also impacts maritime security. China now has a vested interest in the Strait of Malacca. potentially justifying a greater naval presence. This alarms the U.S. Navy and South China Sea claimants like Vietnam and the Philippines. The regional order is shifting from U.S.-led to a more China-centric model. Economic and technological ties are becoming as important as military alliances. The consequences for regional alliances are only starting to unfold. The deal's environmental impact is complex. Singapore and China tout it as a green leap, nuclear power and renewables replacing gas. But environmental groups warn of risks: offshore reactors in sensitive waters and the challenge of nuclear waste. There are also doubts about the true greenness of imported energy. Tracking electrons is tricky, and China's coal plants may simply run elsewhere. Critics call this a green paradox. Singapore's emissions drop, but global impact is unclear. The deal highlights the tension between national energy security and global climate responsibility. Singapore faces tough questions about transparency and stewardship. How these concerns are managed will set a precedent for future cross-border energy projects. The world is watching for lessons. The stakes go beyond Singapore's shores. The Singapore Powers deal is just the beginning. The next few years will test whether China can deliver and Singapore can balance its new partnership with old allies. Success could spark a wave of similar deals, creating a China-centered Asian energy bloc. Failure, technical, political, or environmental, could trigger backlash and rival initiatives from the U.S. and its partners. The region could see a new energy Cold War, with competing grids and alliances. This is a live experiment in globalization, power, and climate strategy. Will it foster cooperation or deepen divisions? The answers will shape the next decade. We'll be here to cover every twist. Thanks for watching World Bulletin.